Hello, second grade. This is Module 6 and Lesson 14. Objective today is I can use scissors to partition a rectangular into same size squares and compose arrays with the squares. So I have a rectangle right here. This is rectangle A, and we're going to fill in these blanks over here. So rectangle A has how many rows? I want you to go ahead and write that down. How many rows does rectangle A have? Well, let's look at this. There's rows go side to side and columns go up and down. Let's remember that. So there are 1, 2 rows in rectangle A. It says each row has how many squares? Well, rows go side to side, right? So we just need to count how many squares are in each row. Go ahead and write that down. Did you say that there are 4 squares in each row? You would be correct. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares in each row. Now we need to complete this sentence. It says that blank rows of blank. So we just take this. How many rows were there? There were 2 rows. Of how many in each row? 4. And what's the answer there? How many squares do we have all together? Go ahead and write that down. Did you say that there were 8 squares all together? If you said 8, give yourself a kiss on the brain. Excellent job. So this rectangle A has how many squares all together? They have 8. And here's rectangle B, so we're going to do the same thing here, but it's asking us how many columns does rectangle B have? How many columns? Go ahead and write that down. You say that there are 4 columns. Now remember, columns go up and down, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. And it says each column has how many squares in them? Go ahead and write that down. Did you say that there were 2 squares in each column? Give yourself a kiss on the brain. Now, we need to finish this sentence. It says, how blank columns of blank equals blank. Go ahead and complete that entire sentence all by yourself. And then we'll compare. Did you write down that there are 4 columns of 2 squares and that there are 8 squares altogether? So D says rectangle B has how many squares? It has 8 squares. Okay, now you need to construct a rectangle using all 16 squares. So you have 16 squares and you are going to construct a rectangle array with those 16 squares. Then, after you're done with that, you're going to answer these questions. But go ahead and construct your array first. So push pause and then push play when you're done. Okay, so you should be done with your array. Now, there are 2 different ways that you could have done this. The first way would have looked like this. So I've got 4 tiles in a row, and I have 4 rows. So down here it asks me, my rectangle has blank rows of blank. So just looking at this one, how many rows do I have? I have 4 rows. And how many are in each row? I have 4 tiles in each row. C says my rectangle also has blank columns of blank. So how many columns do I have? Well, looking at my columns that go up and down, I have 4 columns. And how many tiles do I have in each column? I have 4. So then it wants us to write a repeated addition number sentence to match our rectangle. So I wrote 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 16. Now, either way, it's going to be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, whether I do it by rows or columns, because it is the same either way. Now, another way you could have done it is you could have made it look like this. So I have my 16 squares here, and to answer these questions down here, it asks us how many rows first, and how many rows do I have here? I have 2 rows, and how many are in each row? How many tiles? Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles. My rectangle also has how many columns? Now, how many columns do I have? Columns go up and down, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns. And how many tiles are in each of those columns? I have 2. Now we need to write our addition, our repeated addition for this array. Go ahead and write that down. If you've already done it this way and you have your repeated addition, excellent job. If you haven't, go ahead and write this way. Okay, so first we're going to write the first repeated addition is we're going to take it by rows. So I have 2 rows of 8. So it would be 8 plus 8 equals 16. Now if we go by columns, it's going to look like this. We're going to have 2 plus 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 2 equals 16. It is your turn now. You're going to make a rectangle with 12 squares, so make an array with 12 tiles, and then you're going to complete these number sentences. It says, I see blank rows of blank, and then in the exact same rectangle, I see blank columns of blank. So go ahead and make your array, answer these, fill in these blanks here, and then seesaw it to me. Good luck.